Okay, today we have a 2005 Buick Lacrosse with a 3.8 liter engine, and we're going to be changing the oil and filter. I just want to show you where everything is located. Obviously we're going to lift the car up on the lift, or we're going to put it on some floor jacks or something like that. But this is where the oil drain plug is. It's about dead center of the car. You can see the right side tire right there. This is the dead center of the oil pan, and this is the drain plug that we're going to be taking out. So what we're going to do is we're going to just raise this bucket up, break this loose, drain it out, and then we're going to change the filter. So let me get started and I'll show you what to do. Now, this particular car, the drain plug is a 14 millimeter. As you can see, you can't get in there with the ratchet. So what you want to do, get this nut out of here. We're going to drain the oil out of it. As you can see, there's not much room inside here to get in here with the socket. So we're going to use a wrench to take this out. Never use the open end section of a wrench to try to take out a nut. You may be able to get it out, but chances are you're going to wind up stripping the nut out. So never use the open end part of a wrench. Always use the box end of it. It fits on much better and it comes out a lot easier. You just put the wrench on, and remember, it's counterclockwise to loosen it, clockwise to tighten it. So let's loosen it up, and we're going to drain it. Fairly simple, just loosen the nut, raise up whatever you're going to be draining the oil into, whether it's a bucket or a whatever you've got. I always like to wear gloves because you don't really want to get the oil in your hands over a long period of time. Oil is no good, especially burnt oil is no good to have on the skin. Alright, so now we're just going to let that drain out, and once it finishes draining, we're going to put the plug back in. So we'll come back in a minute as soon as it finishes draining out. Once your oil finishes draining out, you just take the oil drain plug, screw it back in. The thing you want to keep in mind is that you're screwing the drain plug into an aluminum pan. So you don't want to over tighten it, and you don't want to leave it too loose either. So what we're going to do is we're just going to tighten it till it's snug, and then we're just going to go a little bit more. It's just touching right now, and you just get it a little bit. There's a rubber gasket on here, so you don't have to really worry about making it too tight. You just don't want it coming out. That's it. Wipe all the oil, the excess oil, off the drain plug, and then we're going to move over to the filter. Let me show you where the filter is located. If you turn the wheel to the right side, you can see pretty well where the filter is located. And it's right up in this area right here. So let's take that filter out and we'll replace it with a new one. Alright, you can just remember, it's counterclockwise to remove it and clockwise to put it back on. You can just break it loose with your tool. Once you loosen it, raise your drain bucket up, or make sure your bucket is positioned underneath it. And loosen the filter and let it drain a little bit. And once it finishes draining, then we're going to remove it. So while it's draining, I just want to show you one thing real quick. The new filter now, we're going to put a little bit of oil on the gasket here, just a little bit. That makes it slide a lot easier when you put it on up there. When you remove this filter, you have to make sure that the gasket from that filter comes off with the filter, because sometimes this gasket sticks up in there. So let me just show you what I mean. Again, wear your gloves. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands if you don't have to. this case here, the gasket did come off with the filter, but sometimes this gasket gets stuck up by the housing, the oil filter housing up there. So always make sure your gasket comes off. All right. Once it finishes draining out, you put your new filter on. And the new filter you're not going to tighten with a wrench. The filter you're just going to make it as tight as you can possibly make it by hand. Because if you use a wrench on it and make it too tight, you'll never get it off in the future. Screw it on, and as tight as you can make it. Okay. Obviously you want to wipe off all that excess oil that dripped all over the place. Alright, now we're going to lower it down, and we'll put the oil back into the car. So let me lower the car down, we'll come right back. Okay, now that we got the hood opened up, we're going to put the oil in the engine where it belongs here. Let me show you real quick what you want to do. Before you put any oil in any car, you always want to make sure you put the correct oil in. Most of the time it's written right up on this cap right here. It'll tell you what way oil goes in. In this case, it calls for 5W30. And if you're looking it up on a computer, I know it takes 4.5 quarts of oil. So let's put the oil in it, and we'll start it up. After you get your oil into it, what you want to do is you want to put your cap back on before you start the car up. And we're going to start it, let it run for a minute, and we're going to check the level to make sure it's okay. I'm going to start up. After it runs for a couple of minutes, we just shut it off and let it sit for a minute, and then we're going to check the oil level to make sure it's up to what the full mark would be. And in this particular case, you can see, sorry, it's a little bit hard to see there, but you can see right here the minimum and the maximum. So let's check and see where the oil level is, just to make sure that it's full. Put the stick back into the engine, and we're going to make sure it's up to the full mark. And it is right to the full mark where it belongs. So in this case, we don't need to add any more. We're all set. All right, so make sure your dipstick is in, the cap is back on, and just look underneath the vehicle and make sure you have no leaks underneath there. And that's it. We're all set.